What's up, guys? I'm Max Getnig. This is the back nine of the gold layout at Raptors Knoll Disc Golf Park in Langley, BC. Check out the front nine on my channel if you haven't already. I give a little more in-depth overview and first impressions of the course as a whole. The back nine tends to cater to the longer throwers. There's a few holes where if you don't have that top tier distance, you might be picking your spots a bit more and playing more conservatively. Hole 10, downhill par 3 to the A position, 328 feet, 100 meters. We've got a triple Mando about 30 feet from the tee. That forces the straight shot, and there is OB out to the left, but shouldn't really come into play. Throwing my straighter Sky God 3, I find that the crossbar is just low enough to make you not want to flirt with it too much and forces you to throw it a little short of the basket and skip up to the rocks. And they've actually sunken this basket into the rocks here, which keeps it at a pretty comfortable height to putt at, but at some angles the rock formations give you something to think about. Hole 11, pretty reachable par 4, going to the B position, 530 feet, 162 meters. There's an OB river that doesn't typically have a lot of water in it, but it follows the fairway all the way up to the green, as well as a hazard area in the first landing zone to keep you honest if you're laying up and playing for the easy 3. Throwing a S-line DD3 out to the left on a big anti-flex line, but needed to throw something with a bit more stability or adjust the release angle a bit. This one holds the Anheuser line the whole way and comes up short into the OB river. Throwing my third shot with the penalty stroke. Little P2 Anheuser up to the basket. Maybe thought about the OB behind the basket a little too much, came up a little short, but hit the putt for the par save. Hole 12, par 3, going to the A position, 175 feet, 53 meters. I'm not sure why they have the gold layout as the short tee pad. It's a bit more obstructed line to the basket, and I think it's just all in all a better hole from the blue and red tee. But you basically just want to throw something that moves right, crashes into the bank, and you should have a inside the circle putt. Throwing the S-line MD5 on a forehand. Basically just pitching it around the corner, but got a really strange reaction off a stump or something that kicked me straight to the basket. Hole 13, big par 5, going to the B position, 908 feet, 277 meters. I haven't quite decided if it's worth going big off the tee, or if you can just lay up your drive to the corner and then always have that over the top to the second landing zone, because so often you find yourself out of position in the second phase of the fairway just because the trees don't quite line up for a obvious gap to the next landing zone. I am going for the big Anheuser line with the S-line DD3. There's a Mando on the right there, but it kind of just doubles as a gauge so that if you do make the mandatory, it's pretty hard to find the OB on the right. Caught up in one of the big trees in the middle of the fairway, and here you can see that they don't line up too well for many clean lines through, and really only had this low line out to the open. A little early release, but made it to the corner. Chose to throw this patent pending upshot. In hindsight, maybe should have went with the forehand. Got this one a little nose up and fades down the hill to the left. Left with this uphill 50-footer. Gave it a good bid for birdie, but sailed a bit past. A handful of mediocre shots results in a par. Hole 14, probably the most aceable hole on the course. 238 feet to the A pin, 73 meters, and really only OB right should ever come into play. Throwing my overstable Sky God 3, hoping to give it a good ace run out to the right. Left it just high, but this hillside acts as a nice backdrop. Hole 15, definitely the hole that takes the biggest numbers in tournament play. Par 4, 519 feet to the A position, 158 meters. Starts off with this tight corridor shot and then dog legs up the hill to the green. Throwing a C-line FD2 on the flip chip up forehand line. Absolutely piped this fairway, flexing back right around the corner, but ended up just a little bit long. Had a relatively open gap to the pin, but really awkward footing. Went with a C-line FD3 here to get over the trees. Ended up hitting the flag on the top of the basket and parking it for the birdie. Hole 16, par 3, 418 feet to the B position, 127 meters. Really shapes up nicely for a stand-up backhand hyzer, but if you flip it over too much, you can easily find the OB right. And OB left should really only come into play if you're playing to the A position. Throwing a pretty beat-in S-line PD. Maybe give it just a little bit too much height as this drifts off to the left. Ended up pin high with about 30 feet left for the birdie. And just fluffed the putt a little bit and left it short. Hole 17, par 4, 669 feet to the A position, 204 meters. Another hole that definitely benefits the longer throwers as the tee shot is deceptively uphill. Got a little carried away with the height on this one. S-line DD3. Got pretty good distance, but ended up on the tree line on the right side. Another awkward lie here, patent pending. Prototype C-line DD3. Hung this hyzer out a little wider than I wanted to and came up about 50 short. Pretty poor effort on my birdie bid here. Maybe a little lingering frustration for missing the birdie putt on 16. Hole 18, par 3, 324 feet to the A position, 99 meters. You have the airspace to do basically whatever you want, and a pretty generous amount of space before the OB on the left. Having a little trust issues with this PD2 lately. Should have just thrown it flat over the OB. Instead threw it with hyzer and spikes about 35 feet short of the basket. Third straight miss for birdie. Maybe just a little low on energy towards the end of this round. And finish with 3 straight pars. Hope you guys enjoyed this style of course overview and would appreciate any feedback in the comments for future videos.